This video is for subscribers only, so if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, you're gonna need to do that now so you don't miss this video or any future videos, so I'll give you a second to do that. I'll wait.
He was talking about wanting to be on this like behind this like big round part because you have more feel for it and you can command it more versus when you're completely on it, then you're sort of like, you have less control over how it's gonna break. I don't know what you got on that.
Well, the ball's round.
Yes.
So regardless of where you throw the ball, there's like gonna be a hump somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. So for me, there's three main things for a curveball. The first is like, you gotta cut the ball in half with your hand. You gotta have tension, like, so there's the grip, right? So you have to have some sort of tension. For me, I like to think of not just squeezing tension, but some sort of like
side pressure into
like
that seam.
Torque, where it's like it's torquing around the ball.
Kind of like rolling your finger up on the seam a little bit almost?
A little bit. So it's almost like I grip it here and then spin the ball in my hand, like in my thumb.
Yeah, that's right.
So it gets like that, a little bit of torque there. So when the ball comes out, the finger wants to snap like.
And you get that extra, that built up torque already.
Right. Yeah, so like the thumb's holding it in there. As soon as the thumb slips, the ball wants to like torque out of it, right? So that's the first thing. So you split the ball in half and you have a little bit of like, torque on the finger. Right. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is with the wrist, stiff wrist it. Right. And then the last thing is like, you want to be able to drive through it and turn it over. Let's see. It's not.
I'm coming through with my hand, the back of my hand to the catcher. So yeah, that makes sense.
So you want to like drive through pronation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, those are the three things. So regardless of the grip, like you can throw, if I want to get a seam, right? But I could hook this seam. And I could do it the same way.
That's exactly how I throw mine.
Right.
Well, I go knuckle curve.
Yeah.
And just fucking into that shit.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I just need a seam. I can grab like whatever seam it is. I can grab it. There's a couple different. It doesn't matter because I just want to have that. I want to have it here, torque it into my hand to get that wrapping of the finger.
Yeah.
Get this finger out of the way. So whether I keep it up or I spike it, it's just to get it out of the way. I have no pressure on the ball.
Yeah.
And then it's just stiff wrist. Drive through it, and then the ball just comes out when at the natural point when the thumb goes.
Yeah.
So the only other reason a grip would matter on a curveball is if you have some sort of gyroscopic angle to it, significant, like 15, 20 degrees of it.
Right.
And then you want to get some sort of like shifted.
Yeah.
But for me, I want the thing to go straight down. I want the most bite, so I just try to align the forces. Now it doesn't, because of the way my finger ends up on the ball, it spins kind of like an off angle forcing.
The knuckle, but your knuckle pushes it back.
Well, I'm just saying like my fingertip isn't directly where it spins like straight four seam towards you.
Right.
It's like, it spins straight four seam, but the seams are like shifted a little bit. So you see what I mean? Yeah. Still the same spin axis and everything, but the seam orientation is kind of odd on it. It's not a true like pure four seam.
It's top spun instead of front spun.
Yeah. Not that really matters though at all. So those are my thoughts on it. It's the grip, it's the wrist, and it's the actual like driving through it.
When you're putting pressure on your finger, a lot of what I've been thinking about right now is as I was building torque into it is like here almost, but like I want to like make sure I'm using. If I was gonna ever use stuff to help it, like getting the most out of it, do I put it here on it, or do I put it on? I've always.
Well, just think about how it comes out of your hand.
There.
Yep. So at some point it's touching the.
Whipping down the pad.
Yeah. Yeah. You're never throwing it like off of this side of your finger or like off of this side of your finger.
Right. I'm
without getting to the pad. You're always getting through the pad.
Correct.
So doesn't matter.
That's where I've been. I feel comfortable with it. The miss is obviously when it's rounding and just sort of pops up.
Yeah.
Just because of a wrist. But I was playing around with Jared in August, and he was talking about that when he went and played in Puerto Rico and he played in somewhere in Cuba, that they were messing around a lot with like pressure points on the ball. And that
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Pressure points do not matter to me. What happens, the pressure points to me are like cocking the wrist.
Yeah.
Like you can put pressure on me, like okay, that gives me a cue. As soon as you go to throw, the forces are so high that your wrist goes straight and everything co-contracts, and so you lose all your pressure points. Or you can't maintain arm speed enough to like sell it, so it doesn't really matter. So regardless of how you like, I used to grip it in between these two fingers, just pinch between the middle finger and the knuckle. And so I have that torque on this finger already.
Yeah.
And then I would just set the thumb on it, keep this finger off it, and that's how I threw the curveball. But like it doesn't really matter as long as the wrist is straight. Like everything will be like, oh shit, contract, lock out, and you're gonna have this really stiff apparatus going through release to protect the elbow.
Yeah.
So
what's your focal point?
It depends. It depends on what
you're trying to throw it for a strike.
Well, I've calibrated myself 2 different ways in my career. I've calibrated to start line.
Yeah.
In which case I would start like righty. In college, it was like this on the righty's shoulder.
Sure.
I'd throw it at him, and I just knew like I would pull it in and whatever.
Strike zone.
Yeah. And then I would throw it at their hip if I wanted to bounce it. Okay. So that's my starting plane. Right now,
at the batters.
A righty.
Yeah. So you're not the catcher. You're not even on the catcher at all.
In college, that was the case.
Okay.
Now I've calibrated myself to be end location. So I just look at the glove, and I know like in space the ball's going to get to the glove.
Kind of like let the body take care of everything. Like this is where I want it to go.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can calibrate different ways. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just what works for what makes sense for you.
Makes sense.
Ultimately, it's just most important to have a very specific focal point.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to throw it exactly here, and keep your eyes locked on it all the way through, and like drive your hand towards it. That's the best you can do.
Exactly. Like live ABs, I was trying to start it for a strike at the top of the catcher's helmet, knowing that it's going to move down to the bottom of the zone. So when I was trying to miss, I'd move it to his chin. But I'm still not 100% locked in on that's the right starting spot.
That's why for me, I just calibrated to the end location. It's like, okay, I want this in the zone, so I'm going to look at, if I'm here, let's say I'm looking at shin height.
Yeah.
And so I'd have the, I looked at my command maps and I tend to miss arm side, like high arm side with it.
Yeah.
So I would have the catcher just set his glove on the ground kind of like this if I wanted it for a strike.
Yeah.
And so I'd look at the glove and I would miss high arm side and it'd be in the zone. Because they'd be set up on the outside part.
Yeah.
High arm side is like dead middle in zone if this is my target on the ground. When I tried to bounce it, it's not like I don't really try to hit a spot. I just throw it aggressively and I know that I'm just gonna pull it down.
Makes sense.
I
hit the majority of my hit batters. I hit like 14 guys in 2019. I think 10 of them were curveballs that just didn't get it. I was behind it or popped out and just didn't spin. Those are my misses.
And for me, that's one of the things that having a final location I think helps with, because I look at it like, okay, there's my location. I'm just going to keep my eyes on. I'm going to rip my hand to it.